his trust relationship with House Republicans when he said the health care bill that they passed and that he celebrated with them on the Rose Garden several months ago was actually mean. It's not just an issue of the American people not trusting the White House. It's also an issue of Congress, of members of the president's own party not trusting him to follow through on commitments that he makes to them. That's to the ability of the Republican Party to actually advance its agenda now in a rare moment of united government. And of course, if the Republican Party can't deliver on promises that it's been making for nearly a decade, namely the promise to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, that will do nothing to help the president and his party gain the trust of American voters. So they're kind of between a rock and a hard place on this one.
You know, Tara, Kellyanne Conway, one of the chief counselors of the president, admitted as much that we've got some poll issues. I mean, she's a professional pollster. This was her bread and butter before she came to the White House. And she said, we got to get those numbers up with Republicans. Now, the president said all those polls are fake, but the people around him say, we got to deal with this.
Right. I think it's a bit of a reality check that maybe the president isn't comfortable with admitting, but perhaps his aides are more comfortable with that. But at the end of the day, they're right. They do have to get those poll numbers up. But the question is, how can they do it? Maybe tax cuts, if the economy is doing really well around 2020, that could be really helpful for him. People don't generally like change. And if things are doing well, then Trump could sail into a second term. But, you know, between now and then, they do need to be thinking about how much value the words that are coming out of their White House have. This is a struggle that any White House has, even White Houses that have a real, devotion to the truth in a lot more ways. And this is something that they need to really work on if Trump is going to make it into a second term. And obviously the economy will help. Tax cuts will be great, but we'll see if that's even what comes out of tax reform, if they can push it through.
Alex Burns, front page of your newspaper, above the fold today is this report by your colleague talking about this climate change report from scientists from 13 different federal agencies coming out. I think this is draft version 5 that they've been working on, basically saying the climate temperature has been accelerating at a rapid pace in terms of climate change over the last 4 decades, and human contributed emissions, CO2, are largely to blame for that. Now, that runs directly counter to what this president has said, and namely what the EPA chief, Scott Pruitt, has said. How does that